Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is a Monday, time for a brand new episode of Benchwarmers. Appreciate you tuning in, especially you, JM1620. As always, if you're not able to catch the show live, you can catch us on YouTube at Hat-Club. Be sure to subscribe to us, which is a fancy word for follow. Give us a like if you like what you see. My name is Eric Adoiro in the house. Adoiro, I think you're going to be getting the most points this week, if I'm not mistaken, for fantasy football. Last I checked. Uh-oh. Hold on one sec. Adoiro with some breaking news here. Southside Steven Seabright in the house. Yeah, Adoiro, you're currently at oh no, a lousy bang in China with 144 points currently. And looks like that's how his week finished. But the bright side is, Adoiro, you finished with a win. Don't even need tonight to worry about it. But as he said in the chat, he lost Pacheco and Debo on the same day. My God. That's rough. I'm 12 points up on Fitz at the moment, but he's still got Bijan Robinson going tonight. So I have to hope to God that Eagles defense could somehow contain him. Give me the win. This is not the best win that I would be getting on the season. I'm only at 87 points. All thanks to the fact that my running back tandem of Rashawn White and Bucky Irving did not cut it for me this week. But granted, Rashawn was out for like the first half, basically got hurt, but came back in later in the game. But for whatever reason, the Buccaneers did not establish any bit of a running game outside of Baker Mayfield scrambling. But he did run in for a touchdown. So talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, usually I start the show off with jersey pickups, but I got nothing this week. I've got one showing up tomorrow. It's one I already have, but one I'm going to get customized. That is going to be a Derek Harper New York Knicks number 11. Like I said, I already have one, but I found one in a double X that I got for cheap. So planning on removing the last name and turning it into a Rod Strickland. So Lord knows next Monday when I do the show again, I will show that one off. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Oddly enough, just nothing else has come up over the last couple of weeks, or at least the last time I gotten like a huge wave of orders in. Yeah, strange. But anyway, let's talk about some sports. Sports, baby. Tone Cruz and Sub Diego in the house. What's going on? Gotta start with Shohei Ohtani. Even though this episode is primarily focused around football, but gotta start with a little bit of baseball. Shohei Ohtani currently at 47 home runs, 48 stolen bases, almost an RBI, stolen bases on the season. Not only is he the first 41, 40, 42, 43, and so forth, all the way up to 47 home run stolen base guy. Sky's the limit, basically. Dodgers still about 13 games left to go for Shohei to have a the fact that he's 3 home runs away, the odds are more than likely that he's going to get it. More than likely, I'm predicting he's going to get the stolen base. On base plus season. And so, yeah, 2 more trips to first base, whether it's walk, whether it's a single, whatever. He's probably going to lock those up pretty easily. So it really becomes more of a matter if he's going to get the home runs. So, to which case, I got to look at the schedule here because he's going against the Braves tonight, in which case Max Fried is on the mound for the Braves. So I'm giving it less than 50-50. He's going to get a home run tonight, but more than likely will get on base. But in regards to the last 13 games of the season for the Dodgers, where is Shohei going to get it? Well, this is the last game of the series against the Braves. Then they got a 3-game series against the Marlins in Miami. Then they got a 3-game series against the Rockies at home. 3-game series against the Padres at home. Then a 3-game series against the Rockies on the road. So with that lineup, I kind of think that Shohei is going to get the home runs pretty easily. More than likely going to happen against the Rockies, where number 49 and number 50 are going to hit. There's a good chance he's going to get one at least against the Marlins, but I would say within a 6-game time period, yeah, it's probably going to happen against the Rockies. So if you're a Rockies fan, I apologize. But really more of a question of how quickly he's going to get the stolen bases. I would imagine before the end of the Marlins series, he's going to lock that. Win MVP. I'll be at Francisco Lindor stats. So hold on one second. Let me check it out. Let me check it out. 271, 31 home runs, 86 RBI, 163 hits. I mean, obviously going to get a gold glove more than likely. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Yeah, I still feel like Shohei's going to get it. If Shohei locks up the 50-50, he's got it. He's got it on ice. Is really what it's going to come down to. But at the same time, when it comes down to MVP, most valuable player, and I would say the Dodgers are more than likely going to get into the playoffs regardless of whether Shohei or Ohtani was there or not. Yes, Shohei's having a fantastic season, but at the end of the day, Francisco Lindor is the catalyst as far as why the Mets are actually in playoff discussions right now, why they're tied with the Braves for second place in the NL East. So I understand the argument to give it to Lindor. I just feel like if Ohtani gets the 50-50, he's a lock for it. But if he doesn't, I don't know. It's either or really. I think both are deserving just based on where their teams are at, based on overall individual performance. I got to give it to Ohtani. Better batting average, more home runs, more stolen bases, more RBI, etc. Granted, if Ohtani was pitching, it would be a landslide discussion in regard to Ohtani winning it. But since all he's doing is just hitting dingers right now and stealing bases and really, really acting as an offensive catalyst for the Dodgers right now, I side more with Ohtani. And I apologize to Mets fans, more specifically Austin, on that one. But I get where everybody's coming from in regard to Lindor. So not against it. Logan Herrera says, if you're a baseball fan in Denver, though, not sorry. Hilarious. S-Man 1503 kicks in EDC. What's going on? 406 Brims. What's going on? Big Show asked, Ben, who are you taking for the next 5 years? Soto or Ohtani? Ohtani. Because, I mean, as long as Ohtani can get back out there and pitch, it's Ohtani. And this is no knock to Soto. Young kid still, World Series champion on top of which he got done really early in his career. And as far as consistency in the hitting, yes, it sides more toward Soto. But if Ohtani can get back on the mound and still produce offensively the way that he is on the Dodgers, then yeah, I got to go Ohtani. So you're taking Soto for the next 10. Well, yeah, it's 10 years, man. Ohtani's probably going to be done by then. So I get that. I love it. But yeah, the next 13 games for the Dodgers are going to be kind of interesting. I'm still holding out hope that the Padres and the Diamondbacks will get the wins and push the Dodgers to third place in the NL West, which is my bold prediction before the season started. So I'm hoping that's happening, but we'll talk more about baseball here in a little bit to get like a better breakdown as far as where that kind of stands right now. But football, a lot of football going on between the NFL, college, and of course, English Premier League. But we're starting with the NFL because that's more relevant on account of the fact that the Eagles and the Falcons nightfall, most notably down with yet another concussion, his third of his career. Everybody, of course, going with Tua's got to retire, which I get it in regard to his health and longevity, but Tua's got to play it smart, which he absolutely is doing. He's seeing a concussion specialist because the fact that he can't just up and retire. Otherwise, he's giving up that massive contract money, more specifically, that he signed before the season started. So if he's medically forced to retire, then he gets to retain the money. So in regard to Tua and his party, I feel like they're going about it the most intelligent way possible. But regardless, the Dolphins do not look great right now. And I don't think Thompson's going to be their Lord and Savior as far as getting them far into the playoffs, even though Austin had predicted, I think, the Dolphins were going to win the division. Bills are looking good right now. And so maybe this is a ploy by Austin to just not give the Bills any credit and just kind of wait and see how it pans out. But right now, Bills are 2-0. Big win last week against the Cardinals. or the previous week against the Cardinals, and then big win the other day, Thursday, against the Dolphins. So we'll see how this goes. Big Show says no more left-handed quarterbacks in the league. Come on, dude. The greatest quarterback of all time is left-handed, and that is Steve Young, my friends. Yes, I hold him in higher regard than Joe Montana. Eat it. Greatest running quarterback of all time, too. You can debate that one all you want. It is a fact. But speaking of the 49ers, they got dunked on by the Minnesota Vikings, most notably Sam Darnold, who after the game, of course, had some words behind closed doors, but there was a camera in his face saying, "You don't want me. You traded me. Don't want me on the team anymore. Blah, blah, blah," as players tend to do once they've been jilted by their former team. And then, of course, they go on to play them and just absolutely dominate. But all credit goes to the Minnesota Vikings defense, who last week I should have known better just based on the way that they handled business. This week, especially going against the Niners and forcing multiple turnovers against Brock Purdy and company. So well done to them. Also, the thing that was most notable from this game, which I probably should have picked the Vikings anyway, based on our Pick'ems league, is the fact that going to Minnesota, the Niners have not squeaked out a win since 2009. Let alone they have not. No, sorry. I think the stat was they have not led against the Vikings in Minnesota since 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. Yeah, crazy. So GG to the Vikings, 2-0. Way to go. Seahawks Patriots was much closer than I was anticipating. I was kind of hoping the Pats were going to pull this one off, but unfortunately they didn't. So that brings the Seahawks to 2-0. Currently leading the NFC West in best record, just because the fact that the Niners lost to the Vikings. I don't feel like that's going to stand the test of time, because once the Seahawks and Niners play, Patriots full credit for fluke. They held tough. They had a lead throughout the majority of this game. The Seahawks just kept coming back and coming back, forced overtime. Patriots probably should have won it. Essentially turned the ball, allowed them to kick a field goal at the end. That's all she wrote. But the important thing is Patriots covered the spread, because the spread was -3.5 for the Seahawks. So way to go, Patriots. I got that one right in my Pick'ems league. Very proud of that. New York Giants Commanders with a 21-18 win. All points for the Commanders coming out the leg of their field goal kicker, much in the same sense of Chris Boswell for the Steelers against Atlanta last week. Dude, Austin and I were making this joke before the season started when we were talking about making like bold predictions for fantasy football. And the fact that we were talking about kickers should be taken in the first round are really going to start outshining some of the running backs and the quarterbacks of the league. It's kind of coming true. Granted, it's not something that's going to last the entire season, but the fact that Boswell, dude pal for Washington, whose name escapes me right now, Aubry for the Cowboys, and a few other kickers are just blowing up and just racking up huge points, especially when it comes to dude pal from the Texans last night. All these guys are just knocking back 50-yarders, which, I mean, accounts for 5 or 6 points, depending on how your league is set up for fantasy football. But I will give credit to Daniel Jones. 2 touchdown passes in the air. Singletary obviously had a running touchdown. They kept it tight. But Commanders got the win, and in which case, -2.5 in favor of the Commanders. That was a win for Pick'em's league there. Chargers blew out the Panthers. No surprise there. And as I let this one slide in the comments because people were talking about it. The fact that Bryce Young is getting benched in favor of Andy Dalton this weekend against the Raiders. Bold move, I would say, maybe a little bit too early, especially considering the fact that, I mean, Bryce Young has had a full season last year, his rookie year, and so far he's not off to a great start after 2 games. Is it the right move? I mean, we'll find out on Sunday. Panthers go to Vegas. It's going to be Vegas's first home game. My wife Saturday night, so we will not have to deal with all the traffic going to Allegiant Stadium this weekend. Going to get all my NFL and college football bets in as early as possible. To which case, there is one NFL bet I tried to get my friend Alex to make this weekend. I will talk about it at the end of the show. Just please remind me, because him not going to the casino for me. Moving on for next week, that concerns me a bit, but 26-3 was the final score. Chargers over the Panthers. Chargers are 2-0 on the season. Speaking of 2-0, New Orleans Saints, my God, for all the crap that Derek Carr got after leaving the Raiders, and especially after a, below average. Yeah, Steven, that's correct. Remind me to tell you the story of illegal betting. Remind me to tell you the story of potential interstate commerce. All the crap that Derek Carr got last season, so many players were hurt. It wasn't like a fully stacked Saints squad, but now you got it. Alvin Kamara, great game against the Cowboys over the weekend. 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 in the air. Derek Carr did throw an interception, but 2 of those touchdowns that were scored were via his arm. Not to mention, he threw his best Billie Jean impersonation once he got into the end zone. It was nutty. But yeah, 44-19 over. How about them Cowboys? The important thing is CeeDee Lamb racked up a shit ton of points for me in my fantasy league, 90 yards receiving plus a touchdown. Glad I got him. Best of AZ needs 13 points to get the win tonight. Ugh. I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping the Eagles can somehow just stifle Bijan Robinson, because I need that win, baby. I need that win. I need it. Anyway, Packers eking by the Colts, although the game was not as close as it looks, because the fact that the Colts scored a last-minute touchdown to even put them within another touchdown of actually, potentially winning this game. But the Packers minus Jordan Love actually looked pretty decent. Defense was strong. Richardson did not look great as quarterback. I think he had 3 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. So go Pack go, I guess. 0-2 for the Colts. Actually, everybody in the AFC, with the exception of the Houston Texans, is 0-2. Texans, of course, are 2-0, but we will game here momentarily. Where we're going next? Cleveland against the Jaguars. Jaguars turning out to be an early season disappointment, which is rather shocking. Because I would have figured they would have competed at least with the Houston Texans for first place, but not going to be the case, even though I think my prediction was Texans, then Colts, then Jaguars. So it's kind of panning out perfectly the way that I described the season was going to go. But more importantly, Deshaun Watson's getting scoring going early for the Browns with a rushing touchdown from 1 yard. And then it was essentially just a field goal show from that point forward. Took the second half for the Jaguars to finally score a touchdown. My God. I'm so glad I didn't watch this game, because it was just pitiful. But I did take the Jags in my Pick'ems league. Did not pan out. Wah. This God Rodgers looked somewhat sharp, even though he went 18 for 30, still at 176 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, and getting the win. So it's the most important part. Jets were favored. Jets were favored by 4. Buccaneers, baby. Woo! I chose the right hat today. I talked about this a little bit ago in regard to, I was a bit surprised that the run game wasn't as abundant as it probably should have been against the Lions. But then again, the Lions do have a pretty solid defensive line. So Bucky Irving, I think he only had about 30 yards, if not, I think like 27. Rashawn White got hurt early in the game. He did come back in the second half. Rashawn White, I will say, has been more utilized as a screen pass option, which is fine because it still gets yards regardless. But Baker Mayfield just went into his own element. Was able to get a touchdown in the air, was able to get another touchdown via the run. So pretty impressive game for him. Made a few blunders toward the end, which allowed the Lions to potentially get back into it, if not win this game. But going back to the playoffs this last year, I mean, this was definitely a revenge game for Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers. So 1-1, Buck-O in the Raiders. Oh my God. Okay, this was part of the bet that I tried to get my friend to make. The 3-leg parlay. Buccaneers money, which I thought was crazy. So it's like, yeah, I'll take the money there. Then the second leg was the Saints against the Cowboys. That was easy money. Third leg at plus 350 was the Raiders. I was gonna have my boy put $10 on that, which would have gotten me about $630. Fuck. But needless to say, he was not near a casino on Saturday night. Why going forward, or at least in Nevada, every weekend going forward, because otherwise, away. It's only costing me $5 and $10 to make these bets because I do little increments for big rewards. Yeah. Oh, Southside Steven Saber, I'm going to remind you, don't do this. Don't do what I just described, because even me talking about this can be used against me in a court of law if it's ever summoned, if I ever get caught, which, let's be real, at some point I probably will. Don't do it. Interstate commerce, you're going to spend time in a federal pound me in the ass penitentiary if you get caught, but whatever. God damn it. So yeah, don't do that. But he didn't. So it didn't happen. Whatever. $10 could have got me $630. Bummer. But anyway, Raiders did not give up. The highlight from this game, of course, was Max Crosby getting in the face of Gardner Minshew in between series. You know, it's what teammates do to make themselves improve upon themselves. And it paid off. There was the moment at the end where Lamar Jackson probably could have won it in for a game-winning touchdown, but he decided to pitch the ball back and start the lateral, the band is on the field play, which was crazy because if you look at the backside camera angle of Lamar just running down the field, nobody was going to touch him, and especially with his speed. He only had one guy left to beat, and it was a member of the Raider secondary who was just chilling by the goal line, who I'm pretty positive Lamar could have probably shook out of his shoes if he tried to. But yeah, Max Crosby is a dog. Great win by the Raiders. I really wish my friend made this bet for me. God damn it. Would have been great to go into Vegas this weekend, $650 up or $630 up, but not the case. But Raiders 1-1 season. Shocking. This one shocked the hell out of me. The Cardinals over the Rams. The spread in this game was 0.5, and I took the Rams plus 0.5. What a mistake that was. Kyler Murray looked exactly like his entire hype the last couple seasons. Finally getting some connections to Marvin Harrison Jr., to which case, what? Four connections? That's it. 4 connections for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not to mention McBride had 67 yards plus a fumble recovery touchdown, which I got the points in our fantasy football league for that one. Connor with a rushing touchdown, but Kyler Murray, 3 touchdowns in the air, 266 yards. Yeah, the Rams didn't look good. The Rams just did not look good. So knowing that going forward, especially based on the way that they played against the Lions, which is the whole reason why I took the Rams over the Cardinals in the first place. That team is basically gone. Cooper Kupp went out due to injury. Nakua, of course, has been gone all the season so far. So I don't know, man. I don't know if the Rams really have the give for the rest of the season. So it might be a done deal for them. Chiefs Bengals. What the fuck? Bengals were favored -5.5, which I felt like they were going to get just because the fact that if the Bengals, God, are going to get worked by the Patriots the week before by the score of 16-10. Yeah, a 5-point spread in favor of the Chiefs at Arrowhead seemed plausible. Not the case. Bengals just hung throughout the entire game. And then, of course, because it is the Chiefs, the darling of the NFL, They got bailed out a couple times. More specifically, I'm not even talking about that pass interference call, which, based on the rules, yes, was a pass interference. You can't hit the player before the ball touches them. The bigger thing for me was the 5 or 6 holding calls that were not called against the Chiefs that should have, especially when, Chiefs offensive linemen have Bengals defensive players in fucking headlocks. Not to mention the wrap around the neck against Jamar Chase, which got him so heated against the ref, which then turned into a 15-yard penalty against the Bengals. God damn it. But that was it. And then Harrison Butker kicked the game-winning field goal because that's what he does. And that's what the Chiefs do. So, damn it. Would have been nice if they won by 6, but in this case, I would have just preferred the Bengals won the goddamn game. And I feel like America would have liked that as well. Steelers over the Broncos. Jordan Love. Sorry, not Jordan Love. Justin Fields. A lot of similar names there. Justin Fields. First Dutch touchdown pass of the year. That happened early on in the first quarter. Then it was just Chris Boswell and field goals throughout the rest of the game. Bo Nix and company did not look great. They had some opportunities toward the end of the game to potentially tie, force overtime, if not take the lead if they got a touchdown and 2-point conversion, but that was not the case. Steelers won 13-6. Spread in that game was -2.5. Got that one right. And then that was it. That was it for the morning games and the afternoon games. And of course, we come to Sunday Night Football. This game pissed me off for many reasons. One, I picked the Texans to win by the spread, which was 6.5 points. The Texans had a 9-point lead with about 5 minutes left to go in the game. And then they allowed the Bears to get across midfield and allowed them to kick about a 54-yarder because they still needed 2 scores to at least compete, if not win. To which case they nailed that. The Texans then marched, got across midfield, iced the ball the rest of the game, and only won by 6. Yeah. So I lost this pick. Fuck. But anyway, CJ Stroud and company look good, much like they did against the Colts during week 1. Caleb Williams looked a bit rusty. He definitely got a workout. Let me tell you that. He didn't look terrible, but he definitely got a workout. Rome Odunze getting a lot of crap on the internet today, especially considering the fact that he was supposed to be a guy who's supposed to be able to jump, get those highly thrown balls, lock up everything. And he's on my fantasy team, but I put him on the bench for a reason. And he was not making big plays. So kind of happy about that. Yeah, Joe Mixon, good game, got hurt early. Thankfully, he came back and sealed the deal for the Texans there. Probably could have been better. Yeah, the Akers fumble. My God, dude. The Texans should have won this by more than the spread. We'll put it that way. The Texans just allowed the Bears to inch their way back into this game, plus a shit ton of penalties. My God, just dumb shit. Holding penalty after holding penalty. What are you guys doing? D'Amico Ryan, of course, pissed, but happy the team won. Got to clean that up before next game. So, but anyway, Texans win 2-0, leaders of the AFC South. And that was it for the NFL. Obviously, Falcons versus Eagles tonight. Spread in that game is -6.5 in favor of the Eagles. I am taking that route because I will show you at the end of the game or in the end of the show. There is a 5-way lead for first place in our Pick'ems League, and I had it pretty much locked up after the morning games yesterday. There was 10 of them. I was 7-3. Then I got the Steelers, so I was 8-3, and then the other games started losing, and so yeah, 5-way tie for first place. I've got Eagles -6.5, 51 points or more, as long as nobody else in our league picks higher than 51 points total scored. I hope to God I get this because it's $100 on the line, or my $100 entry fee basically going back in my wallet, which would be great. I'll show you guys the details about that later. But anyway, college football, Friday night game, Kansas State versus Arizona. Arizona was ranked before this game started because they were 2-0, but Kansas State just did work on Arizona. Noah Fafita could not get anything going for the Wildcats. Bit surprising. Best of AZ. Not thrilled by the performance either. I mean, just really goes to show that Kansas State is a much better team than I at least thought, and especially a lot of other experts thought, which is why they're 13th ranked in the country right now. So good on them. Good on them. Going into every other ranked battle for the weekend, Illinois taking down Central Michigan 30-9. Big game this weekend, which is actually on Friday. It should be a Saturday game, but it's going to be a Friday game. Illinois versus Nebraska. Whoo! This is why I'm glad I'm going into Vegas Wednesday night so I can bet on the Illinois-Nebraska game, but I'll go into more detail about that when I do Ben's bets. Oklahoma State, taking care of business against Tulsa. Bit of a scare last week against Arkansas, to which case I still feel like Arkansas should have won that game and gotten me a goddamn $130, but not the case. But Oklahoma State definitely took care of business. Bowman, 5 touchdowns, 396 yards in the air, 1 interception. Damn. Michigan having a hell of a time against Arkansas State, believe it or not. 3 interceptions thrown by Warren of Michigan, to the point where they had to put their backup in to actually get some offensive pressure going. But 28-18 was the final score, Michigan over Arkansas State, which really goes to show how much better Arkansas State is than a lot of people realize. Bama 42-10 over Wisconsin. Thankfully, my wife did not watch this game. She's a huge Badgers fan. It looked good in the first quarter for Wisconsin. They did score first, but then from that point, it was just a boat race. So Milroe, 3 touchdowns in the air, 196 yards, not to mention 2 on the ground for him. This game pissed me the fuck off. South Carolina versus LSU. And South Carolina not only should have won this game because they were dominating in the first half, but even in the second half, they had a touchdown interception. Oh my God, that was called back because one of the defenders for South Carolina, as the ball was being run to the other end of the field, carelessly blew up LSU's quarterback, who had nothing to do on the play and was not even going to come remotely close to making a tackle on this insane touchdown run. But because the refs saw it, they threw a flag, 15-yard penalty, negated the touchdown, not to mention a missed field goal to force it into overtime at the end of the game. And that's how it ends, 36-33 LSU. Fuck. Oh, I hate LSU, guys. I hate LSU football. And to be more specific about that, track and field, I'm cool with. LSU football, Missouri taking down Boston College. It was a battle of 2 ranked teams. Not surprised by this, especially Missouri being the SEC, Boston College being ACC. But tightly contested regardless. So I still feel like Boston College is a lot better than people realize. And it's kind of a shame they got knocked out of the top 25 by losing this game. Made no sense. Miami, the University of Miami in Florida, that is dominating Ball State 62-0. Cam Ward continuing his Heisman campaign. A lot of touchdowns for that kid. So good on him. Texas A&M with the win over Florida, 33-20. I know that makes Logan Herrera happy. Back in the top 25 for Texas A&M. Florida calling an emergency meeting, potentially going to be getting a new coach before the season is over, before even halfway into the season. The Gators are just not cutting it right now. So we'll see what happens with that. My Ducks. I love my Ducks. 49-14 in the Civil War over Oregon State. Dylan Gabriel looked damn good. I mean, he was perfect in the first half, finished with only 4 incompletions that I think one went to Troy Ferguson and the other 3 were because of Tez Franklin. But even in which case, like, Franklin still had a great game. All 3 running backs, Whittingham, Jordan James, and I'm trying to remember the third one right now because they use them on a screen pass, which is hands down one of the greatest screen passes I've ever seen. All 3 of them scored touchdowns in this game. I forgot to bring that one up, but thanks. Okay, I will talk about that in the second best of AZ before I switch, because I forgot to bring that up because neither school was ranked, so that's why I didn't mention it. But yeah, Gabriel ran for 1, threw for 2 in the air. Awesome job there. And made some change to the offensive line, which seemed to be the thing that was hindering Oregon from really dominating games against Idaho, against Boise State. So Oregon back on the natty talk, which is great. But Bez of AZ brings up the Apple Cup, Washington State versus Washington. Go Cougs. They did not Coug it. 25-19 or 24-19 was the final score there, with a last-second heroics by the defensive line to shut Washington down on a potential touchdown drive at the 1-yard line. So good on them. Good on them. Dubs down, baby. It was so good to see. So good to see. Oklahoma, I wouldn't say a beating, but they definitely beat Tulane. Completely forgot that Ty Thompson, the perennial backup for the University of Oregon, behind Bo Nix for so many years, he's the backup quarterback at Tulane, and he's still not getting any playing time. So poor that kid. My God, somebody start him somewhere. I was wrong about this one. Notre Dame just absolutely pummeled Purdue by the score of 66-7. This was one of my upset predictions for this weekend. Did not pan out. I just feel like Notre Dame's season was done after they lost to Northern Illinois, but that was definitely not the case. They needed revenge on somebody, and Purdue, unfortunately, was their victim. Utah, surprisingly close game in Logan against Utah State, 38-21 final score. Cam Rising looking more than likely that he's not going to be playing the rest of the season, and more than likely going to get a medical red shirt and come back for a 6th or 7th year next year for Utah. Crazy. But Utah did get the win, and they got a big game this weekend as well. Ole Miss taking down Wake Forest 40-6. No surprise there. Texas over University of Texas San Antonio 56-7. No surprise there. Nebraska 34-3 over Northern Iowa. No real surprise there. But as I was talking about Friday, Illinois versus Nebraska. Can't wait. Cannot wait. I'm pulling for Illinois in this game. And then, of course, Tennessee over Kent State. But the last game, Tennessee 71, Kent State 0 that we need to talk about is this fucking nightmare of a game. 13-12, Georgia over Kentucky. If you guys don't remember, South Carolina blew the doors off of Kentucky the previous week, which was part of my 3-leg parlay, which got me $834. Thank you very much. But this game should not have come out that way, because my good friend Josh Reddick, who's a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan, even hit me up because I wasn't even paying attention to this game. I was busy doing some other shit. And he basically texted me. He's like, so are you working on like a meme to make fun of me in regard to Georgia? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Then I turned the game on, and it was at a point where Georgia had just punted to Kentucky at this score. What I didn't realize is that Kentucky should have straight up won this game based on the first half. And if you guys didn't see it, this is it. This was one of the last plays of the first half where Georgia was trying to make something happen, threw a pass, went into the receiver's hands, and as you can see, I'm going to zoom in on it, hands are clearly under the ball, to which case, hits the ground, to which case, red gloves, you can still see under the ball. Then he did a whole tuck and roll where the ball then just flew up out of his hands and magically into the arms of this waiting defender for Kentucky, who then ran it in for a touchdown. But upon review, because all touchdowns are reviewed, this one was called back and said it was a pass incomplete to Georgia, and completely killed any bit of momentum for Kentucky for the rest of the game. That's how the game finished, 13-12. Fucking insane. Fucking insane. Because no matter how many times I go back and watch that replay, that ball, one, did not touch the ground, and two, that's all that's important. So Georgia gets the win. It's BS. And Texas takes over the number 1 spot. Oregon somehow stays in the 9 hole, which I'm just baffled by, just because the fact that, going from 4 down to 9 in the rankings, I mean, still top 12, thank God, but just putting the hurt on Oregon State, and it's just like, don't get any kind of kudos or movement based on that. Insane. Sub Diego says, whoever bets an under, like who says, I want no scoring. Yeah, this would have been prime for anybody who bet the under on this game. My God. Manning time for Texas. I mean, yeah, he had a one in the air, one in the ground. That was a hell of a 70-yard run for touchdown in regard for Texas. But it was against the University of Texas, San Antonio, so I'm not exactly impressed by it yet. Do it against a blue chip school or a top 25 school. Maybe that'll blow some wind up my skirt. I mean, he's still young. He's still coming off the bench, whatever. We'll see. There's still plenty of time for him. Plus, he's going to get full starts for next year. Ewers is going to stick around after this year. English Premier League. This was it wasn't my lock of the week, but it was definitely my Ben's bets for this last week. Man United 3-0 over Southampton. No real surprise there. 3 points in the hole for Man United. This was the fucking shocker of the weekend. There's no way in hell I would have called this one. But Nottingham Forest with the massive upset over Liverpool, 1-0, 70-second miss it. 70-second missing. Hold on. 72nd minute goal, game-winning goal score. My God. I don't know why I was so tongue-tied on that one, but shout out to Nottingham Forest on getting the big win there. And shout out to Ariel Hawani, who's a big Nottingham Forest guy. I know he was stoked this weekend. Old friend. Man City getting by Brentford, to which case Brentford's goal to start this game was amazing. Just because the fact that it had Man City so goddamn rattled, but all the Brentford fans so goddamn fired up. I wish Erlich Haaland wasn't so good at scoring goals, because seeing a finish like this after scoring in the first minute and just parking the bus the rest of the game against arguably the best team in the Premier League would have been electric. But Erlich Haaland, 2 more goals on the season. Screw you, pal. You're so good. Fulham West Ham probably should have been a 1-0 victory for Fulham, but they had a defensive lapse at the end of the game. West Ham ties it up, 1-1 final score there. Crystal Palace, Leicester City, same thing. Defense. Got to play defense, and especially don't play defense too hard where you're going to allow a penalty to Crystal Palace. My God. They get the win, or sorry, the tie. It should have been a win for Leicester, but not the case. 2-2, draw. Brighton shockingly drew against Ipswich Town. Didn't see that one coming. Would not have bet it in any capacity, just based on the fact that Brighton was just scoring goals left and right in the first couple games of the season. So I feel like they're going to correct everything by next week. Oh God, poor fucking Everton. Everton 2-0. 2-0 after 30 minutes of play. Things are starting to look good, especially against a top 4 team. No, not the case. Because once again, Jordan Pickford, for whatever reason, amazing on the English national team. Not great for Everton. Get him the hell out of there. The rest of his team is also terrible at defense, which makes me really sad, because Aston Villa just knocked goals around 36, 58, and 76 minute to not only tie, but then eventually win this goddamn game. Terrible for Everton. They're going to get relegated. Chelsea, all it takes is one, and all it takes is not allowing any. 1-0 over Bournemouth. Excellent job there, boys. The derby, Arsenal versus Tottenham, ended 1-0 Arsenal. No real surprise there. I was kind of hoping Tottenham was going to at least get a draw out of it, but not the case. And then Newcastle, 2-1 over Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton has suddenly become everybody's punching bag this year, even though they finished actually like relatively middle of the pack last year. So maybe they're going to improve upon things, or people are just going to go beat them. I don't know. But Newcastle with a 2-0 win. That's all I know there. But yeah, here's a look at the table. So with that win in the Liverpool loss, not to mention even Aston Villa, tied 4th and 5th, Liverpool and Aston Villa, Brighton at 6, but Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle rounding out the top 10. Only 3 teams with double figures in points at the moment. Nottingham Forest jumping up to 7, just ahead of Chelsea, who's got 7 points, followed by Brentford, Man United, who both have 6, and then the bottom half of the table, Bournemouth, Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham City, Leicester City, Crystal Palace, Ipswich Town, and then Wolverhampton, Southampton, Everton in the bottom 3. Figure it out, guys. Figure it out. Baseball. I would have figured the Mariners would get closer on account of the fact that they're winning games, but unfortunately, it also means Houston is winning games as well. Mariners still 4.5 back from the NL West, but time is slipping. Only 12 games left to go for them. Houston with a game in hand, so they got 13 games, hence the 0.5 there. Maybe a miracle will happen and the Mariners can still win the AL West. You never know. Crazier things have happened in much shorter periods of time. Yankees now with a commanding 3.3 game lead over the Orioles. That is unfortunate. I was really hoping Baltimore was going to bang this out and win the East, but not the case. Looks like the Yankees are going to take it, even though we're talking about same thing, shorter period of time, much like the Astros and the Mariners differential, blah, blah, blah. But Baltimore just fading fast. A lot of injuries crept up and bit them in the ass super late, so that's super unfortunate. Indians back to playing winning baseball again, although the Royals are just on their ass, jumping the Twins, 4 games behind the Indians. So Guardians, my bad, Cleveland Guardians. Twins 6.5 back from there. And then Detroit still actually hanging on to a wild card spot, which I'll show you guys here in a second. Phillies 9 games up in the NL East, followed by Atlanta and New York Mets, which are tied for second. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. The Mets just figured it out this late. Twins, 2-3 more games, and they got a division title again. Good for them. I hope they do it. But followed by the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Reds. And then over in the West, as I was talking about earlier, Padres getting hot. Diamondbacks are a little hot. Dodgers, not so great right now, but they did get a win yesterday. Really more of a question of what's going to happen against Max Fried and the Braves tonight. But yeah, 3.5 back. The Padres are right now from the division lead, and Diamondbacks only 5 games back from there. So craziness. But anyway, wild card. So more than likely, based on the way things are shaping out right now, Orioles are probably going to be the top dog in the wild card. But it's really more of a question of who's going to get these second and third spots. Royals maintain right now, followed by the Twins for the third spot. But Detroit and Seattle are currently tied. And then 2 games behind them is Boston, followed by another 2 games by the Rays. I'm hoping the Mariners can get in because I doubt they're going to be able to get the division win, which is kind of a bummer. But if the Twins have to get knocked out, that's going to make my wife sad. So it's, yeah, we'll see. Tigers just coming on hot at the right time. Good for them. But then over in the NL wild card, Padres, Diamondbacks, no surprise there. And then of course Atlanta and Mets are tied. It's going to be either one of them. So it's really the way it's looking right now, this is about how it's going to finish. Unless, of course, the Dodgers just absolutely implode over these next 13 games to allow the Padres to take over and win division. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, Seattle better get in. Seattle better fucking get in. God damn it. It'll make me happy. Anyway. Hold on, I gotta read the comments real quick. So Sub Diego says, I'm waiting for my Ticket Connect to get back to me. Should be fun. Oh, who's gonna be there? Oh. Yeah. Oh, Sub Diego and Best of Easy were talking back and forth. Yeah, just about what I just talked about there. So yeah. Anyway, here was my pick'ems for this week. So there was a brief moment of time where I was overall first place. And then the afternoon game started and completely pummeled me. Because I had the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Steelers all covering their spreads, which the Steelers did. Thank God for them. And then, of course, the Texans did not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-way tie for first place going in tonight. Like I said, I've got 51 points. I hope to God nobody picks a number above me going in tonight. Because all I need to happen is 51 or more points and combined between the Eagles and the Falcons tonight. Not to mention the Eagles have to win by at least a touchdown for me to lock this up and get my entry fee money back, which would be awesome. But Ben's bets, regardless for last week, did pretty damn well. My lock was correct. Niners over the Jets. Booyah. Guardians over the White Sox. That was an easy one. Man United over Southampton. That was an easy one. But yeah, I got cocky. I got arrogant. I said Purdue over Notre Dame. That sure as shit did not happen. Terrible. But for this week, so my lock of the week is Friday's game, college football, Illinois versus Nebraska, plus 270. I got a feeling it's going to hit. But then Braves over the Dodgers tonight. This is definitely me thinking with my heart as opposed to my brain, but it is Max Fried on the mound, so could happen. Leicester City, I can never pronounce it correctly. Leicester City versus Everton this weekend. I'm predicting a draw. Leicester. See, I keep reading everything phonetically. Leicester City. Thank you. It's like Worcester, like Worcester, Massachusetts is actually pronounced Worcester. Like I should know better on this. So yes, Steven, you're correct. I should know better. And then my bold prediction for the NFL this weekend, I'm taking the Vikings over the Texans. Money line. Just because the way the Vikings are playing ball right now, defensively, they're phenomenal. Really keeping the Vikings momentum going. But not to mention Sam Darnold looks like a competent quarterback all of a sudden, especially that 97, 98-yard bomb that he had to Jefferson. I mean, we always knew he was capable of doing something, especially being a kid coming out of USC, but a lot of different teams, a lot of different coaches. I would say, honestly, during his time last season in San Francisco as a backup is probably the best coaching he's got in the NFL, and then carry that over to his time with the Vikings going into this last weekend against the Niners. I mean, he wanted to show it off, so he did, and of course they won. So that is the only reason why I'm taking the Vikings over the Texans. This is not to piss anybody from Houston off, even though it probably will if they're watching this. If the Texans win, I'm cool. That's cool. I have no problem with that. I just feel like while the iron is hot and is based on the way I saw both teams perform over the last 2 weeks, we're only 2 weeks in the season. Got to remember that. That's why I'm taking the Vikings over the Texans in this one. So Lord knows I'm throwing money on it. So yeah, since I'll actually be in Vegas this weekend to be able to do so, which is awesome. Yeah, Tom Cruise, you're right. Darnold learning from Purdy is kind of wild. Oh, man. Did I miss anything? I mean, we got 7 minutes to kick off at Monday Night Football, so I wanted to time this one out perfectly. But obviously tomorrow, back with Flip the Script, Oregon Duck Dynasty going for 3-0, just like the Ducks did against the Oregon State Beavers this weekend. Then, of course, next week is the bye, or this weekend is the bye specifically for Oregon. My apologies. So then, starting next Tuesday, I don't watch Serie A. I don't even watch La Liga for that matter. I'm not about it. Talk to Bo. I'll try. I don't know if he's listening. No, I mean, I Bo is just kind of put in an unfortunate circumstance, just being like the entire weight of the world is just thrown at his shoulders. And I mean, granted, watching Bo last week against Seattle, I talked about this last week when I did Benchwarmers, and it's just like, as much as people want to blame Bo, you got to blame the receivers as well, because Bo was hitting targets last week that his receivers were not catching. And I mean, honestly, I would give more the responsibility of losing on the receiving core for that game than I would for what just happened against the Steelers. The Steelers have always been a great defensive team. I mentioned this on Benchwarmers last week as well. Like, even post Dick LeBeau, any team under Tomlin, like, they finished 500 or better for a reason. And it usually hinges upon defense. So it's like, you can't fault Bo and company for that. You can fault their coach for not preparing them against the team, which is why I've never really liked Peyton as a coach to begin with. So I don't know. Who are the Broncos playing this weekend? I'm looking it up right now, unless somebody fires it in. Broncos. No, I didn't want the Seahawks. Broncos got. Oh shit, the Buccaneers. Yeah, you guys are losing. Sorry. Oh no, I was not expecting that. Sorry. Sorry, Tom Cruise. You're taking an L this weekend. My bad. Ugh. This is what I get for not looking ahead too far on schedule, especially for my teams. Like Oregon's schedule, I got pretty much memorized right now because it's like bye week this week. Then they go UCLA. Then they got Michigan State. Then they got Ohio State. But Buccaneers, I never really pay attention to except on a week by week basis. So my bad on that one. You say Bo versus Baker, but I say Bo versus Bucky. Steven says, you didn't talk about the Packers center puking on the ball and then running a play. Dude, that is like so normal in the collegiate and professional game that I don't even think anybody like misses a beat on that. It was hilarious to see once I saw like the close-up replay of it. But I feel like that happens like so often of just players just barfing on the field. And it's like, yep, I'm good. Let's run the play. Then they'll get some electrolytes like the next opportunity they get. God bless him. God bless America. Oh man. All right. I feel like that's a good spot to end it at. But yeah, guys, always a pleasure chatting this up with you guys. As a reminder, as Steven pointed out, do not participate in interstate commerce. You're just asking. And then don't go on the air like I do and talk about it. You're just asking. Just asking to get your ass locked up. So I got to do better about that. But that's why I'm going to Vegas this weekend. I can make my own bets. Then it's not illegal. So, yeah, see you guys tomorrow for Flip the Script. Hoping to go 3-0 in the Civil War. Yeah. And as always, take it easy. And if you don't, take it sleazy. Peace. See you guys tomorrow, if not Wednesday, for recap. Good show for recap this week, too. Surprises. Fireworks. Tone Crew says, I'm telling if the Bucks win. Tell who what? He didn't make the bet for me. I only talked about making the bet, but he wasn't anywhere near a casino. There was no wire transfer of money in this scenario because I was not successful. Anyway, guys, always a pleasure. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.